It all comes in full circle, because when Mary Milkmaid and I were 7-year-olds together and we were hungry, I would say, let's whip some butter and sugar together in a bowl and then eat it with a spoon, and then we did.
Oh. Well, that's better than me. I used to just eat bouillon cubes and not eat them, like chew on them, eat them, but like lick them for hours, eat them. I was like an addict. And my mom was afraid that I was going to get a heart attack. She always used to hide them on the top shelf in the back of the cabinet, and I would get up in the middle of the night and climb downstairs and stand on the counter to go through my entire cabinet to figure out where they were, and then I would take like a couple of them at a time and then very carefully replace everything, and I would collect them and put them in a line behind the books on my bookshelf. So I would like move my books like just a little bit away from the back of my bookshelf, and that was where I kept them all, and then as I ate them I wrapped all the wrappers up in tissues before I threw them out.
Impressive.
She's a homemaker, don't you know? She'll teach you how to cook and sew, and how to wield a hammer. It's the June the Homemaker Show.
Hello, and welcome to the June the Homemaker Show. I'm your host, June the Homemaker.
And I'm her assistant, Sally Soubrette.
And today is a very special day in the lives of all men. It is the birthday celebration of none other than, drumroll please, Mary Milkmaid! So we are going to make her a cake as a surprise. And we found out, well, you found out,
Secretly, through espionage activities which involved wigs, trench coats, and sunglasses.
or maybe just her revealing it without trying.
But I was wearing a wig at the time.
And we found out that her favorite cake is red velvet cake with white frosting. So yesterday I made a red velvet cake, and today we are going to do a decorating a cake episode. We are going to make a cake that says Happy Birthday Mary Milkmaid on the top in some colored frosting. So for that we're going to make a creamy white frosting out of the Better Homes and Gardens 70th Anniversary Edition cookbook. You're going to put a thin layer of frosting on the cake, and then whatever's left over we're going to color for the message. And we are also going to make a quarter batch of chocolate frosting to draw little cows around the outside, because I think that that is adorable.
Are you particularly adept at drawing cows, June the
I
Homemaker?
am. I've made a cake that looked like the ring from Lord of the Rings.
I remember that.
I have made a cake for my sister's graduation that had little black knights riding around the side. You could totally tell what they were.
My cows turn out looking like bizarre rabbits when I draw them, so I'm going to leave you in charge of the cows.
This is the recipe. It says a cup of shortening, but whenever any recipe says shortening,
Just substitute butter.
if you wanted to, then you could just get heavy cream and make yourself some butter, as previously discussed.
If we do a milling your own flour episode, then you can actually make all of the ingredients in your cake. So you'd also have to learn how to make baking powder.
Basic tools, you're going to need some measuring things and a hand mixer. We're supposed to beat the butter in with 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Whenever I pour vanilla, I always feel like I'm Mary Poppins pouring medicine for those children.
Turn different colors. It was like different colors every time she poured it out of the bottle. You're like the horse of a different color.
Horse of a different color.
It's a horse of a different color! And then this horse comes out, and apparently in the actual movie they painted it with jello, because they didn't want to do anything toxic to the horse, so they just covered a white horse with colored jello and shot it for a while, and then did another shot, and then covered it in a different color of jello, and then shot it for a while, and it sort of does this weird, like, jerky cam changing of the color of the horse in a really old-fashioned kind of way. I don't know how I know these things. Probably from reading Shirley Temple's autobiography 3 times.
I'm going to mix this. It's going to make a noise. Oh, not as much of a noise as I thought that it was. Slowly add half the powdered sugar, beating well. And that's about half.
That's about it.
Add 2 tablespoons of milk.
Haha, I've done this so many times.
If you're going to be putting a significant amount of decorating frosting on your cake, your frosting should be fairly thick. Otherwise, when you put a lot of decorating frosting on, it gets really goopy and slides off the sides of the cake. And enough milk to reach spreading consistency. Well,
I think it's actually almost at spreading consistency.
yeah, I feel like it is at spreading consistency.
This is how you get shit off your beaters. And then most of it comes off by itself.
I am leery about doing things like that because I, as you may have noticed, am prone to making mistakes and also a mess. So I'm going to now make a quarter thing of chocolate butter frosting. Sally is going to wash her hands, and then she's going to put the base layer of white frosting on the cake. And wants me to use 3/4 of a cup of butter, so I need a quarter of 3/4 of a cup of butter, which is 3/16 of a cup of butter.
You may not know that June the Homemaker was a math major in college.
1/4 of a cup is 4 tablespoons. So 3/16 of a cup is 3 tablespoons. Now that Sally has frosted the middle of the cake, I would do this thing
Okay.
and
Perfect.
this thing. But I'm a professional.
This is what happens when Sally Soubrette is incapacitated with allergies. She actually follows June's instructions.
I like you when you're allergic. Point is, 9 cups of powdered sugar divided by 4 is 9/4 a cup of powdered sugar, which is 2 1/4 cups.
Yeah, just tell me when it's edible.
If you can hand me the milk, I can.
I can.
Will
And
you
I
please?
will.
Now I have this amount of chocolate frosting. What we are going to use to decorate is a pastry bag. They're usually pretty easy to put together. There's a little plastic piece that goes inside of the pastry bag. Then you will choose your tip that you use on the end. I am going to use the small decorator tip. So this goes on, and then there's another thing that like screws on top of it to make sure that it stays.
Your thing screws on top of it.
Then you take a spatula, you heft up some frosting, and you put it in the bag as far down as you can get it. And then you take the bag and you shake it. Shake it, shake it, shake it like a Polaroid picture. You wanna get all the air bubbles out of it, and you want it to be as close to the bottom of the bag as possible. Well, this one has a helpful line on it that says, do not fill above this line, so that you don't fill it above there. I'm gonna get a... What's that? Timmy's down the well? Then you take the end, once it's filled, and fold it over so that it's all rolled down and tight against the frosting pouch. Squeeze it out until there's frosting coming out, and when there is, that means that your frosting bag is ready to go. While Sally makes another thing of frosting, I'm going to try to draw several little cows. I have the food coloring there, and there is blue in there.
Food coloring shouldn't stain things because that means that it's permanent, which means that it could probably be permanent on your insides.
My insides are permanently many colors. I have the esophagus of many colors.
That was butter, not frosting.
But these are the tips that are not currently in use.
I've actually never used a real pastry bag before. I always make them myself by cutting the corner off a sandwich bag. So we're writing Happy Birthday Mary Milkmaid.
Yes.
I feel like this is a very large tip to write that way.
It would help if you wrote in cursive.
Fun fact about Sally Soubrette, she never learned to correctly write in cursive.
Do you want to draw some cows, and then we could have half my cows and half your cows?
Okay, and you can write in cursive. Okay. Now this looks kind of like a sad mule.
This one looks kind of like a bull, and mine sort of look like dogs, and then this one sort of looks like an anteater. One of the things you can do with a little floral tip, and just do dot after little dot. It'll make those cute little floral shapes that you see on cakes all the time. And if you have a minute to just go around the top edge of the cake, then it makes it be fancy looking.
It's like a cross between a duck and something with no eyes. This one's pooping.
Do not make it pooping.
I'm sorry, I already did. Because it was raising its tail really high, so I had to make it be raising its tail really high for a reason.
I'm just saying that a frosting cow does not need life motivation. Okay, so here are all the little cows.
Can you tell which ones June made and which ones I made? June? Me. It's like an anteater. There's the one that's pooping.
But it says Happy Birthday Mary Milkmaid on the top.
It sure does.
It's pretty cute and has a little milk bottle. Happy birthday, Mary Milkmaid.
Happy birthday, Mary Milkmaid.
Thank you for helping us with our show. I hope you have a super fun year, this year of yours.
I hope you do too. And I can't wait for you to come live with me, at which time we can shoot lots of Milkmaid in the City episodes. What does a milkmaid do in the city? It could be like Rhoda.
This is June the Homemaker.
And this is her assistant, Sally Soubrette.
And we're signing off.